So what's up? I figure I'd make a series about understanding the creator's design. It's something I've been seeing a lot of. Just the cycles of the world and the purpose and role of the different things on the planet, and just how it all interacts and how it all boils down, even to simplicity. It looks, you think you're so complex in your million-man city, with hundreds, thousands of tree types and plant types and animal types, and you got 1 million people in your city and 14 million whatever, but it's all basic. It all boils down to the same stuff. It's a simple design. And now when we discuss this, there'll probably be some flaws because there's different levels of creator and controller. And there's a creator up here which creates the sphere, the pizza, whatever you think we live on. And there's probably different layers here, because the people I can prove control things they fear. And if they were the creators, if they were the true creators, they wouldn't have fear, because it would just be like shocking and absurd when you tried to instill fear in them. They'd be like, what the hell is this? It's like, my little creation is getting a bad mouth. It's like a toddler running around. Like, you aren't like, oh my God, I'm in fear, the toddler is going to kill everybody. You're just like, Jesus, the toddler's wrecking everything. Like, what did I create this time? So, let's start off with some simple things. I did a video and then I deleted it, forgetting that most of the video was actually about this and not about the end part, which was just bullshit. But you have let's say the squirrel. The squirrel does so much stuff. It does things that are like intelligent related. Like, it buries nuts underground. Well, what happens when you bury nuts underground? You're planting the seed of a new tree. And all the animals participate in something like this. Whatever the animals are they a biotech designed to create and sustain an environment? And yeah, that's exactly what they seem to be. They say we've trained dogs to be dogs, and so dogs help us out, and cats help us out. But the others do this natural stuff, and it's like, do they even understand what they're doing? Maybe they do, and maybe they don't, or maybe they don't even. Maybe they don't understand, and they're just programmed to do it, and so they do it. The birds and the bees, the flowers and the trees, like that whole little saying is weird, because it's used to talk about reproduction, and it's kind of got nothing to do with human reproduction. But it does have a lot more to do with the birds, the bees, the flowers, and the tree interacting with one another to create reproduction for each other. It's got a lot more to do with that than it does, what you think you're about to be told on a bed by your parents when they talk to you about something like that, if they do. Because they kind of don't have to. It's kind of natural for some people. Just like for the squirrel, it's natural to bury that seed under the ground. Does the squirrel understand any of that? Does the bee understand that when it flies from place to place, it's pollinating different little flowers and stuff like that, right? Maybe not, but it does. It does these things. They all have some sort of cycle, like the ant. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but it seems to be renewing the earths. It like tunnels through the earth and creates this small, fine earth dirt. It leaves behind like this fresh tilled earth dirt. And so there's like what, trillions of ants or something, easily, maybe. And you don't see it at all because it's on almost a microscopic level. And there is stuff on microscopic level, they say. You gotta do science before you realize whether it's true or not. Science called ain't just right because they made a TV show telling you it's right. And science never talks about this too. The total flaw in science called is that once you get so deep into studying this stuff, you see that there's some sort of intelligent design. And so you can't just deny it like once you've researched it so much. I mean, how do you explain this stuff I've already mentioned? Each little thing seems to do something. Like even think of a termite. A termite breaks down wood and turns it into something that's gonna compose and decay a lot easier. And hold up, gotta switch over. So we gotta start looking at this stuff differently because it is intelligently designed. There's no way. There's something going on. There's a thought. There's a persistence of intelligence in this world. If there isn't, then explain yourself. What, you're just totally dumb. There's no persistent intelligence inside of you. You have just so many things that interact together. The sun providing energy in the form of light and heat, and then moisture. There's something about water because it's in everything and it's like required to grow. Maybe water's got a lot to do with expanding your cells and thus the growth of cells. And even the cycle of death. Cycle of death is just the downside to an ever going on cycle. An ever ongoing cycle. So, like everything you can start to analyze from a intelligent design point of view. No one ever really talks about this. You can hear people mentioning small things, but they're not like really explaining to you the one or two things they've probably seen that tells them there's an intelligent design. And I'm telling you, all this stuff, they're all working together on the intelligent design. Like they, including the sun, whatever that is, whatever the sun is, it's seems to be a huge part. The light and the water combination allows the creation. Think of it like pretty much most plants. You're not going to get anywhere unless you put a light on that plant. And then after a while, you're going to need to water it too. Then you're going to need to feed it. What is the food? What is the sustenance? What is the calories? What is the nutrients? What are the vitamins? It all seems to work together in a way that can't be explained by just, oops, Big Bang. Big Bang. It's, unless you're starting with one consciousness that develops into a trillion, then you can't just explain that. It didn't all start at once, that's for sure. And it definitely evolved into something that shows signs of intelligence. You have everything that's going on in this world reflects intelligence design. And that includes the controllers, the people below the creators. I'm not saying they're like ranking right below the creators. I'm not saying the creators meant for these people necessarily to be the controllers, because there's just so many, books about them and statements about them that they seem to be a competing force on this planet, even in competition against the humans. It could very well be. Although the humans aren't known to be non-competitive or nice to each other. So I shouldn't assume that just because I'm seeing something, just because you're seeing death, doesn't mean you're not also seeing the cycle of life created by the creator or an intelligent. Either way, if it's one persistent consciousness, or if it's a God conscious who created many others, to be their own, the creator lies there, the creator, the word the creator applies in these situations, both those situations. So you come from a three-way look at what's out there, like the trinity of people's belief system. You have Big Bang, you have God, you have ever persistent in consciousness. So you have two of those three come from intelligent design. And there's no saying the Big Bang didn't come from an intelligent creation of it, if that would be the case, because the controllers, they do know quite a bit, and they do talk about quite a bit. But controllers also control science cult, and they don't allow this discussion. They don't allow this display of facts, this light analyzation of repetition that can be seen in the world, which is odd, because that's exactly the key to this world, is seeing this. Like sure, there's so much already done without having these keys in your hand, but the underlying thing that bumps up the level of consciousness, the level of understanding of any scientist, inventor, etc., their inventions, their doings, then it can be improved upon by realizing the design is there, and the intelligence is there, and the repetition is there. And can't think of an example off the top of my head, but that you can access easy. But once you begin to see the cycles, you see the cycles everywhere. You can apply that to everything, and you can begin to see the cycles. So the cycles are one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, okay, now understanding this and beginning to see this allows me to see everything else in a different method, from a different viewpoint. And it really does work well to do that. Your inventions, your thoughts, etc., they change once you begin to see the cycle. It's kind of like a basic learning block that you've never learned. You've never been taught. And I don't know if that's because they don't want you to know that, or because no one's really come to this. No one has figured out the cycles, the repetition, and the intelligent design. Which of the cycles are clearly there. The cycle, like they tell you, the people have figured out cycles like the moon cycle, the lunar cycle, the sun day-night cycle. There are cycles they tell you about, but they don't tell you, hey, everything is based upon this cycle, which is like the key. That's the key. You just put the key in, and you unlock a whole new door to another area of the world. Exactly what these people are after. They should be looking for something that could maintain and underlie their thought patterns, because your thoughts are going to change. This is even another one of the cycles. Your thoughts are going to change based upon the new evidence you've gathered, the new door you open and look at the world through. And they like lock this door and they close it, and there's almost no way they don't someone hasn't began to understand this. Maybe I'm just different and I can see this stuff, and I've had time, and I've been fostered. My time's almost up, just so you guys know. I can't explain to you further, but it is. So unfortunately, I won't be able to be teaching anyone any of this stuff other than this. So if you come across these videos, you have indeed, found something rare. I don't think you're going to find anything rare on the National Geographic Channel. That's more of that science stuff that's going to change when you open the correct door and you look at it differently. But the underlying ideas and knowledge you have are going to be a huge blinder or filter, on your glasses that you're viewing the world through. Now, understanding that the cycles is everywhere, and it's a very intelligent design. Lots of thought has been put forth into it. Then you can view everything a lot different. And who knows, maybe this is just something I see, and when I'm talking about these cycles, it's going to be harder for you to understand. But it should be pretty easy because you've been taught some of them, and I'm trying to like parallel some of them, right? You've been taught the cycle of life and death. You've been taught the lunar cycles, the solar cycles, not so much those two, but the day-night cycles. You've been taught those. Back in the day, they used to teach the lunar and solar cycles a lot more, they say. Some people worship the sun. But be on the lookout for all these cycles and the intelligent design. And then you can view the world differently, especially those of you who are interested in learning. It's a very in-depth key here. It's like, what's going on? I don't know, but you can begin to feel it if you see the cycles. Like, I cannot reach into the past and figure out what created this world very well, but what I can figure out is that this stuff exists. These cycles exist, and intelligent design exists. From where? I don't know. Are we living in a panopticon? Are we inside a large prison? Is Earth like a prison and we don't understand it? Then that means whatever I say maybe has nothing to do with outside creation, and it's got a lot more to do with panopticon, prison sentence. Just be on the lookout for that stuff, because it can help elevate. Maybe I should go into it more some other time. All I got to do is look out here at nature, and I see more of the cycles, more of the patterns going on. And there's just so much stuff. It's hard to cover it all, but it does sum up, whatever, to some basic rules going on in this world. And at the end of the day, it all sums up into a real basic equation. Like the equation of creation and growth is real basic. That's where the cycles come in under. That's where the true power of seeing the cycles and understanding them comes in. Not in being able to apply them and make the inventions better and make everything better. But the true power in the cycles relies in it teaching you that everything is on a couple strict rules, and that's that. And it boils down to basics. So keep that in mind when you're doing your thinking. This is, of course, when I'm talking to the creators and the controllers, I'm talking to the usual J question I talk about here. You know, the Jewish leaders, and how do they control so much? Well, they are the controllers. Are they the creators? They say themselves that there's a good chance that's not. They although they have so many different, versions of the story, that it's really hard to tell one way or the other. But I'll tell you, once you start fucking around with them, things start happening, and they don't like you exposing them and stuff very much. So they definitely have control, but are they the creators as well? I don't know. Well, I mean, look at Hollywood. What they are creating, right? See, I'm here getting off into a whole nother topic. They are creating. They're creating all the media. But supposedly in the past they weren't doing all that. But we're looking at today, what they're doing today. I know this strays from that, but it's still on the same, because the answer to the question how the Jewish leaders control everything is to raise your intelligence level, so we all can be up there on that same level. You can't combat the system if you're not smart enough to see what they're doing and how they're doing it. And the system they've created really, is a good place to start looking around and trying to understand what's going on. But I'm gonna end that. Just look at the animals. They're providing the animals, insects, and nature. It's like a sustainable, self-sustaining environment. And that's like what people are like, oh, ants are stupid and stuff like this. And it's like, well, they seem to be doing something. And they're doing something. And they seem to do it like they know how to do it. So, is an ant stupid? I don't know. It's part of the cycles, though. And it contributes greatly. They all contribute. And how they contribute is all basic links. They all have basic cycle links and stuff. So, you really can begin to boil it down that they're kind of the same thing. Like, what are they? Biotech? Creation? Something like that? Who knows? Don't trust science, cult. They won't tell you any of this stuff. But think for yourself. Start thinking for yourself. That's the way to really defeat this. They can take me out of the game. They've already tried. I believe they've already tried to take me out of the game, and I've got a little bit of health issues from being taken out of the game, I think. That's quite possible. But, look out for the cycles. Look out for the creation and how everything works together on this planet. And you'll start to be amazed by what you see, because it's just so in your face, and it's so consistent and repetitive that you'll be like, wow, like, how come I never seen this before? And it ends all the arguments. It ends most of the atheist arguments, because they refuse to even discuss it. And it kind of ends most religious arguments too, because they refuse to discuss it. But maybe they just don't understand yet. Some of them don't understand yet. But someone in these systems fully must have seen this stuff before. Then again, people like me don't end up in systems. We are people who break out of the cycles. And there's probably still a cycle for us. But I'm definitely dying, Like, I'm growing and I'm dying every day. I've been growing and dying every day since birth, they say. I die because I do not die. So think of that. Think of these cycles. Think of the intelligence of it, of the design, and how it means it's probably designed as well, because it's not just idiocy. It's not just floppy clowns, big shoes, and big noses throwing piles of fire ants at you. And it's like, whoo, that's how the world works. No, there's something else going on. There's something else going on in this world.